Hello everyone, it's great to see you. Today we're going to be looking at another part of the world, another country. We're going to be looking at 3 sites in there that are historically very relevant to us today. I'll give you some trivia questions by which you can match this country. Okay, number 1, this country uses both English and French as their official languages. Number 2, this country has hockey as part of their national sports. I'm sure some of you have gotten it here. Number 3, this country produces about 70% of world's maple syrup. You know it and you love it. Today we're going to be looking at Canada. Canada is a land of many beauties, of both lots of natural beauties. It has a high altitude and shows some of the most beautiful landscapes of all times. It also has a lot of cultural significance and has some really great food as well. So like Tim Hortons and Fountains, for example. So we're going to be looking at some of that. Just a few pictures. I absolutely love this. This is the Niagara Falls, I think. Lots of falls and beautiful places here to look at. This is my favorite picture. Kind of reminds me of Switzerland. This is the kind of beautiful landscapes that you can enjoy in Canada because it is high up. It is very, very cold, but also very, very beautiful. So the first place we're going to be looking at, we go way back to the founding of Canada itself. So back then, when Indigenous Americans were living in Canada, the Europeans came over from France and Britain, and they took over part of the land, especially here in the east. They took a lot of it, and so very early on, we see a fortress actually that the French built in Canada, and this is the Fortress of Louisbourg. And today we're going to be looking at this. Okay, so what was the Fortress of Louisbourg? Well, the Louisbourg fortress was built by the French when they first came over in the 1700s, and this was one of the most powerful fortifications that it had in North America. You see, it is located directly next to the water at almost its most eastern edge, and so it protected French interest in the Atlantic, and it also played an important role in various wars like the War of Austrian Succession and the 7 Years' War. And this was eventually captured by the British in 1758, and because it was one of the critical sites, this paved the way for the British capture of Quebec. So Quebec as a whole is here, right in this area, and then later to the entirety of Canada. And so just a bit more detail. We'll go into the place. Obviously not a very crowded place, not at all. Very few buildings that we can see, but this place is actually there's a lot of things to look at. So if the first thing I notice is the architecture here. So very different from modern day architecture, right? Not using the same kind of materials. We don't see the use of kind of like very, very well paved wooden material. They reconstructed the site, so around 1/4 of it they put back to the original kind of town using traditional materials and methods. So they have homes that kind of look like the 18th century, made of wood and stones. We also have barns like these all over the places, and then very beautiful, right? Just reminds you of the good old days, although we weren't alive back then. And then we have visitors here. Let us go a bit further. They have reconstructed it to become a historical site, and most importantly, we have a fortress opening right here. Here we go. And so this is the place, the kind of visitor's place, I suppose, that is basically the opening to the fortress. And so there is a lot of homes, warehouses, churches even, and then guard towers all around the place that you can enjoy. You can also see muskets and cannon demonstrations and learn about how the British and French played in battle here. There's also lots of different buildings on reconstruction. There are chapels, military quarters, officials, dining rooms that are being reconstructed at the time. And so this is really a historical harbor that uses that is very important, and the surrounding area also offers very beautiful scenic trails. Okay, that was part of our story. And so what happened here, it kind of explains to us the story of Canada's bilingualism as well, because, the French first came over, so they were using French, and especially in Quebec still, they use a lot of French. But then the British, they took control of the Fortress of Louisbourg, they took control of a lot of places, and then it started to turn into a more English-speaking country. Okay, let's move on to our second place. Very excited to be able to share this with you as well. We're going to way back in the old days. So we're jumping way back, not to Canada as we know it, but still very important. So this is called, it's in French, so I'm not entirely sure, but in English it is referred to as the Newfoundland and Labrador. Okay, so this is the place. Okay, so where is this place? What is this? It's very confusing, right? What? Oh my gosh, it looks like it'd be creepy in the night, right? What could this possibly be? Well, this is a place that actually dates back to 1000 CE. Isn't that crazy? 1000 CE. And this provides a lot of archaeological evidence back into the old days. And so this is kind of where the Vikings used to live back in, and it has a lot of Norse buildings. And so these are all kind of Norse structures as well. And it's very old. 1000 CE. Like, this is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It was discovered in the 1960s by Held and Einstein Extend, I believe. And so there's lots of things that remained, like the remains here, and also seeds they're not native to Newfoundland, which is very interesting, right? That suggests that they contacted other southern regions as well. And so you can kind of read into the history of the time by looking around here. Very interesting here. And these often also, we can kind of think about the sages back then that described this place and the voyage as the Vinland, and very beautiful, very interesting to find. And also there are just like, it's just, there are long houses, there are turf roofs, and it just gives a sense of how the Vikings lived more than 1,000 years ago. And yeah, we also, apparently there are staffs that are dressed that can explain to you what these look like. I don't see any in the pictures, but very great. Yeah, and it's located at the wind tip of the Newfoundland. So if you see it here, right here, if you zoom out of this, so almost at the very top, right? Or sorry, yeah, almost at the very top. So very interesting. And yeah, and this is really the oldest places that I think I've shared with you thus far. And it's just crazy how these are continually preserved for us to enjoy, right? Very interesting to find. Okay, the last place that we're going to be looking at is the Parliament Hall in Parliament Hill in Ottawa, Ontario. So we're looking at a lot of the eastern places. Let's go right in. Oh, so I do have pictures here that I could use. So this is the political heart of Canada. It is basically the home to the federal government, much like the United States White House. And the construction began all the way back in 1859, and it became the parliament, the seat of the parliament, basically, for the Canadian Confederation in 1867. And this place is famous for its beautiful sights, but also for its historical significance. Like, look at this kind of old traditional way of doing governance, right? And beautiful towers here. They are doing reconstruction as well, and so very beautiful to look at. This is also the home to a lot of politically significant speeches, to protests and national ceremonies as well. And the buildings themselves are kind of 19th century-ish inspired architecture that's kind of that really shows at the time the aspirations of the Canadian people as a new nation. And with events that happened around this hill, in particular with events like the 1916 fire, the 1982 repatriation of the Constitution, and the 2014 shooting that happened right around here, it just becomes a historically very, very significant place. And so around here as well, we see the Library of Parliament, we see the Bank of Canada Museum, various other places as well. And very important for us to know, there are also statues and monuments all around that are historically very significant. So I don't know if I can locate them right ahead, but oh, that is quite a lovely field. Lovely, lovely field. Oh yeah, so we have a monument right here. Sorry. Oh, sorry, I guess that was not a monument, but there are monuments all around as well that are very important to know, and lovely. What fascinates me about Google Earth is that you're able to feel the real life experience of the person taking the photo. Like, oh, the sun is blazing outside, and you see the stately building with the proud Canadian flag on it, and it's like they're representing a nation. It is their traditional government. Very beautiful to understand as well. And so yeah, and lots of things going on. The Peace Tower right here is 92.2 meters long. High. So very, very high up. That became an observation deck actually. And the Parliament building itself has a center block right here, and then a eastern block and a western block. So western block, east block, that each has Canada's key political offices. And so yeah, and I also have heard that there are free guided tours as well that that could be used if you are interested in going. If you live near here, if you are a Canadian visitor or a Canadian citizen, very interesting to go here as well. Okay, so we looked a bit into Canada. As someone who has been to Canada one time for like a week, I really tried to present very interesting parts of history. But I know that there are lots of historical depth that I did not cover, and something that I might have miscommunicated. And so please comment anything down below if you have anything to add and share with us. I hope you are doing great and that you'll continue to have curiousness and curiosity and passion in history and continue to learn. Thank you so much, guys, for watching, and have an amazing day. Bye.